Hello everybody. Super good morning everyone. 7:30 in the morning again. It is Kevin Chan brought to you another episode. We're going to talk about Feng Shui today, and we're going to cover a topic that a lot of people won't cover. Because why? Very low value. Right. So this one, unless you are building a house, right? So I don't think you can do much about this, right? So it is about deciding the big and small space of your house, right? So it's basically that question. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, right? So Peppo, good morning. How are you doing? And we got Bonnie here, which is I think is pretty new. You're asking about email list. Which email list? If it's Substack, then later I will flash out the Substack. You can add yourself into the list. Other than that, seriously, I don't know what other email list is there, right? So hello Jocelyn, hello Manuel, right? So yes, Bonnie, thank you for waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning looking at me. Hello PJ Ko, hello Kahing, how are you guys all doing, right? So yeah, today is the Mid-Autumn Festival, okay? Some, right? So it's a moon thingy, but tonight you won't see any moon. Right, so tonight you won't see any moon, right? Okay, right. So yes, for those of you who wanna eat moon cake, today is the last day. I was saying so today is the day you go to the mooncake shop, and then you can start looking at the auntie. Auntie, how? You don't sell me today, no one's gonna want it tomorrow, okay? Those sort of situation. So last time when I was younger, we actually look forward to the day after the mooncake festival, because that's the day whereby they have to massively discount whatever mooncake that they have left. But right now, they rather destroy the mooncake than sell it to you. So they want to maintain the price. It's like that business. Yes, a lot of business is like that, right? So they rather destroy all the produce rather than to give it out for people for free. Like for example, right now, if you don't know, US is having a bit of an issue with their crops, because why? China is not buying. So right now they are destroying their crops. Rather than harvesting the crops and give it to people who is needing the foods. They have a lot of food, right? They can just ship it to all those war-torn country, and give it to them, but they don't. They just destroy all the crops. Yeah, right. So you can burn the lantern. Hey, don't talk about burning lantern. I think they had a lantern the Kongmingteng festival where they send the lantern up to the sky and it end up in the sea, and right now it is polluting the beach. Yeah, please be careful. Okay, right. So now back to this one, right? So we're gonna talk about Feng Shui, right? So very simple, talk about Feng Shui. So Feng Shui topic is actually very broad, very broad topic. There's actually a lot of things to consider, but a lot of things we would choose to just ignore, right? So like today's topic, is one of the things that people basically just ignore, right? So but just for you to know, right? So just in case, if let's say that you got the opportunity to build your own house for some weird reason, okay, right? So this may be something that you want to do a bit of a consideration, right? So shrink myself down to the smaller version, right? So now Bonnie, if you want to put inside a mailing list, I think Substack is the one that you should be scanning, right? So go Substack, put in your email, and then you'll be receiving email as published. So again, just want to repeat, right? Those that's already published will not be emailed to you. You go into Substack and read. Right, the email will only trigger during publishing. So if your email is not in the email list during publishing, then you don't get it, right? So then you should basically get the thing, Bonnie, right? So is there anything else, right? So the Telegram is basically for chit chat. I received already. Good for you, yay, right? So you can also join the community. Community is basically just normal people here who like Chinese metaphysics. You got anything that you want to discuss, you want to chat, so you can go to the community channel to chat. Simple enough, I give you a lot of channel to further your study, right? So come, let's take a look, right? So now, a lot of time when you take a look at Feng Shui, right, understand first, this was designed very, very long time ago. This was designed during a time when community was very detached. Community is super detached from each other, right? So it is not like right now everything is connected. Right, so a lot of people say that oh, the place Feng Shui is good, why is it not being developed? So you need to understand today, in today's day and time, the development of the place, especially infrastructure development, is actually decided by central. It is not decided by the people there. The people there, even if they want to develop the place, they are not allowed to. Very unfortunate, right? So that's weird, right? So tell me, the place feng shui is going to affect the people on the central region? No, it's not going to, right? So your road development, your water, your utility development, right? So do you want to stay in a place whereby there's no road, no water, no utility, don't have anything, especially in Malaysia, no bak kut teh? You won't, right? So that's why no matter how good the feng shui is, the feng shui doesn't develop itself. Right, so last time is different. Last time, when you stay a place, the place is good feng shui, you prosper, you develop the place, right? With the money that is you've collected, you actually develop the place. So when we take a look at it, so in the olden day, a lot of us are, I call entrepreneur. Entrepreneur basically are people who has farm, you got a fishing boat, you got a carpentry business. Right, so you use your hand to make something and then you sell it to people, trade to people for other stuff. Right, so a lot of things we talk about, opportunity, things that you do, right? So we are in a very labor intensive business last time, right? So which means that, either you do it or you don't do it, right? So yeah, correct, right? So those are the, premises that you have. So, when you have a house, it's a big thing, right? So because it's not easy to own a house last time. Right, so it's not easy to own a house last time. Even if you want to build a house on your own, it's a difficult thing. It's not common, right? So it's not common for it. So that's why, a house is something that you pass on one generation to another generation. So the house become very important. So it is the house that form the base that is able to, what I call, harness the energy of the land. Feng Shui is land energy harnessing. Right, so it is basically harnessing all the collected energy and the energy that is now first level, the energy is collected from outer space, which is all your constellation, all your planet, right? So they all have energy, so it will incept the energy into the planet Earth, and what it does is that it creates mountain. So mountain is a battery storage of, you want to call cosmic energy, whatever energy you want to call, we call it chi, that's it, right? So then the chi will slowly release into the land. The mountain releases chi into the land, right? So then the chi will gather, right? So to gather certain places. So if you put a receptacle in the gathering zone, then you'll be able to incept and gather the chi, right? So then when you incept and gather the chi, you go inside the particular place, you can use the chi. That's the entire simple concept of feng shui, right? So when you study feng shui, is basically to understand where does the chi collect, at what point does it, and what does the chi represent, and what you can do, right? So a house is a very important part of feng shui to collect the chi, right? So then of course, whatever is inside the house right now would decide. So I call it the usage of the sector. So different sector utility would decide whatever that is happening to you, right? So now, when back to it, do you want to be prosperous? Then you need to understand the structure inside your house and how is the chi is being distributed, right? What does it control? So today is just to understand that, right? Very simple, right? So please, again, don't put the feng shui theory into too modern first, right? So because when you go to too modern, we are in a very different society, right? We are no more in this labor intensive society, right? So things may be a bit different. So your feng shui interpretation may need to be tweaked a little bit, but it doesn't actually run too far away, right? So it doesn't run too far away. It is still roughly the same stuff. So let's take a look at what is available, right? So now first we're going to talk about opportunity, right? So of course opportunity is going to be very important. So the area that represent the capturing of opportunity is called your living room. Now when we talk about living room, or in the olden days it's called Tai Tong. Tai Tong is a reception area, right? It is the place whereby everybody sit down, do all the discussion. It is usually the place right after the main door, right? It is not a space that you designate as living room. Nowadays people like to designate the living room, and the living room is like upstairs at the corner. That's my living room. It's not that. It is actually the space right after the main door, okay, or what we call the internal bright hall, right? So our term is basically called the internal bright hall. It's the area right after the door, right? The main door where the qi incepts. So that's why a lot of time we say that the main door is really, really very important in Feng Shui. Because, you know, that one now we said that, oh, the main door basically govern your, you know, wealth. Now again, this is the part that you need to be careful. When we talk about wealth, you know, your modern brain always think about money, 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 money. In the olden days, it's not the money. It is basically your means of providing food on the table. Right? So when we talk about opportunity, when we talk about wealth, to a farmer is basically their crops. For a fisherman is basically their fishing. For a carpenter is basically their, you know, carpentry business. Those are what we call wealth. It is not the money, right? So, but today is that too many people to associate everything with money already, right? So now money is useless. You want the money only derive its value when you spend it. Makes sense or not? Right? It's only when you buy something with the money that it has value. If the money you just keep inside a bank account, it's actually useless one. You cannot eat the money. Right? You cannot eat the money, you cannot start fire with the money, right? So you cannot keep yourself warm with the money. Money cannot do anything. Right? You have to go and buy something that serves the purpose. I can see, right? So that's why, you know, don't get too confused with money, right? So, but anyway, you know, in your life, opportunity is very important. There is like one of the, you know, main thing in this. So if you want more opportunity, then the space that you have that is connected with the door need to be sizable. Now I'm not talking about it need to be big or small, right? So sizable depend on you, right? If the place is like, you know, tiny, then your opportunity is tiny, right? So again, big and small, you need to compare to another person, right? You need to compare. There's no absolute. There's no absolute. If your neighbor, what you call living room is half the size of yours, then the fella have half the opportunity that you have. Right, so you have lesser opportunity than the other. No, it doesn't mean that the lesser opportunity, your opportunity cannot be more quality than the other. Right, so it depends. Right, so which means that the fella have bigger opportunity space, but the front door is blocked by a tree. Then no point right? Because, you know, the qi also cannot enter properly. You got bigger capacity, but there's qi flow inside is not too good, right? So that's why a lot of time also we nowadays doesn't really bother about the size of the living room anymore, and plus also. We hardly use the living room already. Right, last time living room, you know, at least a bit more modern time. The living room used to be the entertainment center. People watch TV. So nowadays, the entertainment center has shifted into the toilet. Yes, everybody watch their entertainment in the toilet nowadays with their handphone. Yeah, you know, they sit in the toilet much more, you know. So if you want to get access to the toilet, turn off the Wi-Fi. Right, so is the opportunity is again governed by the living room, right? So governed by the living room. So again, back to the very what we call normal circumstances is that as if you can decide the size of the living room, you can't. Right, so it's not something that you can readily. But if you are choosing a place, then you can. So if you got 3 places that you are choosing from, you know, depend on the size of the living room. Then if your concentration at that point in time, whatever that is important to you is basically measured by the opportunity, then you prioritize a place whereby the living room is bigger. Okay, right? So this one basically govern your opportunity. So if you're opportunity centric person, look at the living room. So like normal circumstances, I tell people that if you are income centric, look at your door. The door is your primary thing, right? Which means if your door is good, your income usually not much of a problem. Right, depending, right? So people from different stages in life, they have different, right? So for example, if you're very young, income may be very important. But after you reach a certain stage, your income becomes stable. You know, you have your financial mindset ready already. You know, you got your financial foundation ready already. Then income become lesser of a concern to you. Then suddenly relationship become more important. Right, so then after a certain amount of time, your relationship becomes stable, you got good foundation, then health become important. Then after a certain time, maybe next generation become important. Right, so you see at different stage of your life, got different thing become important. There's nothing right, nothing wrong. There, it depends on the stage of your life. Right, so the apartment nowadays has living room, kitchen joined together. Then you get very confused. Will the consideration change? No, it's still the same. But you will get a bit confused, right? So because again, kitchen govern different things, living room govern different things. So now living room govern opportunity. You want bigger piece of opportunity, living room should be bigger. You want smaller piece of opportunity, then living room should be smaller, right? So you cannot be in a situation whereby you don't have a living room, because cannot be you open your door, you knock the wall. So again, it is not the designation of the space, right? So Feng Shui does not read your designation. Feng Shui have absolutely no idea about your designation. Okay, no, please don't know. Oh, but I changed the name of this room to living room. Can or cannot? Cannot. Doesn't work. Right? So living room definition by Feng Shui is the space that is attached to the main door. Right? You can change the main door though, however. Yes, you can change the main door, right? So no, it's perfectly legal for you to open the door at a room that you want to designate as, and you use that room as your main door. Then the other door, you seal it off. That is legal. That one can be done. Right? So because again, the Feng Shui doesn't know what is the main door. Whichever open component that you use the most as an entry and exit point is called the main door. So which means for Spider-Man, it's going to be the balcony. Right? So please stop asking me, is it the balcony? The balcony is never your door. Unless you know how to fly, unless you're Superman, unless you are Batman. Batman is just a cave, Spider-Man. Unless you're Spider-Man, right? So then the balcony can become a door, or else there's no way for the balcony to become a door. Unless, that's the last time that you want to access the door. It's different, okay? Right, so first, opportunity, living room. Right, opportunity, living room. Right, so very simple. Right, so then you have your kitchen. Right, so a kitchen actually decide your capability. Right, so now just remember, kitchen is where you prepare your food. So now get back to the farming example. Now your opportunity is basically the piece of land that you have, right? So I give you the piece of land doesn't mean that crop will grow. Right. Please do not get confused with opportunity and actually doing something about it. And a lot of people are very confused about this. They think that, oh no, given me the opportunity, I give you the opportunity, also you may not be able to fully utilize the opportunity. So which means that I give you a piece of land, right? Does it mean that you will be able to grow crops? Two separate concepts, right? So capability is actually measuring your ability to get things done. So the kitchen actually measures your capability. So you want to be a capable person, then your kitchen should be a bit bigger, right? So your kitchen should be a bit bigger so that you are, more capable, right? So now just think about it. What's the function of the kitchen? The function of the kitchen is to feed the people. For you to work on the farm, for you to work on the fishing boat, for you to work on carpentry work, cutting tree, do you need proper food or not? Sustenance, consumption of energy is basically done in the kitchen, right? So the energy that's inside the kitchen is gonna affect this entire process of providing sustenance to you. Make sense, right? So that's why the kitchen right now is gonna be measuring the capability of a person, right? So capability, or got talent, overall productivity, the way things basically getting done. Now, can you see right now that a lot of people kitchen is actually being outsourced nowadays? You eat outside, what we call. You eat outside in the restaurant. So if you eat outside in the restaurant, your kitchen basically is no capability. So can you see why our economy, a lot of this is outsourced? Because everybody is outsourcing. Everybody is outsourcing their kitchen, then all the work is being outsourced by other people. Makes sense, right? So that's how you take a look at that. My living room has the flying NATO style of 4-3, right? Already know not to start certain subject to avoid confrontation. 4-3 is actually okay one now, right? So so again, it's just because we don't like certain connotation of the olden day definition, right? So which is star number 3. By the way, 4-3 combination, I tell a lot of people in the olden day, when you talk about scholar, right? So there's actually two different bunch of scholar. You got the academic scholar, which is the star number 4, and then you got the fighting scholar, which is star number 3. So star number 3 is actually in charge of fighting, right? So you want to become a soldier, you want to become a general, it's star number 3. Start off with star number 3 first. Right, so it's actually fine. So again, star number 3 very good for sportsmen nowadays, right? So but if you are not engaging in physical fight, then you are engaged in verbal fighting. This is where, you know, argument come in. That's where star number 3 become argument star. Right? So, but it's still a star that's growing and still a star that's thriving. Nothing wrong with it. You just need to fit it to the correct, you know, work. Right, so now you fit it to the correct work. Right, so now back to the kitchen. Right, so back to the kitchen. So kitchen is a place whereby you prepare food. You know, you've got sustenance. You eat the food. That actually decide how much work can you do. Make sense or not? Right, so that's why this one decide your overall capabilities. Right, so you want capabilities to be bigger, then make sure your kitchen is bigger. Right, now some people kitchen are huge. Right, so now if you have a lot of capability, does it mean that you will win? Also does not. Right, so later I'll give you some scenario, you know, whereby the sizes, right, so comparison, then you know what is the repercussion of having things that is too big. Everything too big, too small, all got repercussion. You know, this is Chinese metaphysics. Chinese metaphysics is yin yang. Everything got good, got bad. There's no such thing as absolute good, absolute bad. There's no way for me to tell you it's absolute good, absolute bad. Right, so now kitchen is the space whereby your stove is. Right, so you know, yeah, right. So the living room is decided by the front door. The kitchen is decided by the stove. Right, this is the overall space that the stove has. Right, so now the question, you know, what is my living room and then also my, you know, what we call your kitchen is together. Right, so if there's no delineation, then your living room and your kitchen probably, you know, is, there should be a delineation. You know, there should be some table or whatever that does the delineation. You know, so you go and decide on it. Right, so but when your two energy is not separated properly, then you got a confusing situation. You may overestimate your opportunity or underestimate your capability, or overestimate your capability, underestimate your opportunity. But anyway, it's a confusing situation for you. So again, it's nothing wrong. You know, you got a one-room apartment where the room, the kitchen, and the living room is the same space. Right, so you may confuse your capability with your opportunity. Right, so the room that you are staying, the room actually control your desire. Right, the room basically encompasses your desire. Desire is your personal wish. Right, so if you take a look at it, right, the three components, what you want versus what is given to you versus what can actually be done. That is the three things that is playing around. Right, so you see, if your desire is low, right, your desire is low, right, your capability usually also is low at the same time. So then you have a lot of time your, you know, what we call a lot of capability not being used. But generally, until right now, it's very easy to understand. Living room is, you know, so the bed, the what we call the room. So again, right, it doesn't matter whether it's master room, it's the room that you're sleeping in. Master, no master, don't care. Right, so the Feng Shui does not read your delineation or your designation. It read whatever way that you are sleeping, and the bed is usually the targeting point. It's where the bed is. Okay, it's where the bed is that count. So living room is the front door, your kitchen is your stove, and then your room is your bed. Very simple to understand, right? So which means if you put your bed in the living room, then the living room become the room. Simple enough for you to understand. You know, no need to, you know, what we call headache, right? So there's no such thing as, you know, it's the master bedroom, right? Seems like all room need to be huge. Opportunity, capability, ambition, no use to be huge. Huge is no use. Right. So again, you know, you're huge, you also got the huge problem of paying for it. Right, so now understand, right? So all these three basically understand, you know, the size actually determine the what you call overall capacity. So if your room that's very big, then you got a lot of desire. Now this desire is not the desirable type of desire. It doesn't mean that you're attractive. It just means that, you know, your brain a bit crazy. You know, I would just say, you know. So some people have a lot of desire. When, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. But when they ask you to go and do something, right, you don't do it. You know those people? Yeah, you know, very familiar with those people. Like, yes, they exist. You know, you go and check their house, you go and see their room. But really, you know, if you go and meet somebody, you know, whereby you feel that their desire is very high, all right, so you go and check their house, you go and take a look at their room, right? So you straight away will know already, damn, this particular person's room is so big. No wonder the fella has so many idea or things that they want, right? So then you compare with the living room, right? Then you compare, right? So now let's take a look at different, right? So a good size is the living room should be the biggest, followed by the kitchen, then followed by the room. This is a good balance, right? Good balance, right? The living room should be the biggest, right? So there's actually no bad repercussion for having too much opportunity. Right? But you need a certain amount of capability to deliver the opportunity. Yeah, right. So if you don't have the capability, got opportunity also no use, man. Like for example, again, opportunity. Somebody give you a McLaren F1. That's a gift. That is called an opportunity, right? Capability. Can you drive a McLaren F1? It's not easy to drive. I just tell you first. A high power car is very difficult to drive, man. Right? It's not like the normal car that you're driving. You press on it. The car. Slowly roll. No, it doesn't do that. Right? So McLaren F1, you press on it, you will be on the other side already. So if you don't know how to drive the car, that's the things like that, right? So and also desire means that do you even know what the hell is a McLaren F1? Right? Capability also including, can you service the car? Can you pump the petrol? Right? So there's a lot of things when we talk about capability. So a lot of people, given the opportunity, but they don't have the capability. You're just not ready for it. Right? So this is where kitchen is too small, right? So then desire, so it's like that, right? The desire should always be the smallest. Yes, desire should always be the smaller. You shouldn't have too big of a desire, right? So since my bedroom is in the northwest sector, right? So I'm thinking of sleeping in the living room starting from February because it's 2-1. QQ doesn't matter, right? So I've asked people to sleep in the living room, because of the 5 yellow. But only rich and capable, and also people only listen one. The normal class people usually don't listen one, and then they get themselves into trouble. Then the rich fella don't ask question one. He said that, oh, sleep there, move their bed, go there and sleep. Because why? The entire house is yours, and you hardly got visitor. Seriously, when was the last time visitor come to your house? Ask yourself. Does it matter if your bed is in the bedroom or in the living room? Tell me, does it matter? No one come visit your house, man, nowadays, right? Think about it, right? So now let's take a look at different. So when your room is bigger than your kitchen, right? When your room is bigger than your kitchen, so you have a lot of desire, but your capability is limited. So the feeling is incapable. Why do I have a lot of things here, but I cannot get it done? I have this. Health is governed by the kitchen. Yes, health is governed by the kitchen. So it's overall the capability side. Whether you can do thing, cannot do thing, is depending on whether your stomach is being put good chi or bad chi. Right? So the feeling is incapable, right? So if you have room that's huger than your kitchen, so which means that your capability is limited, but you have big desire. So a lot of things cannot do lah. Right? A lot of things cannot do because capability is limiting, right? So the feeling is an incapable feeling. So if you're feeling incapable in your life, your room is likely to be bigger than your kitchen. Right? Makes sense or not? Right? So this is how you do a bit of an analysis. Although again, I repeat to you, this sort of analysis a lot of time is useless because why? You can't really change the room size. You cannot really change. You cut the room in half. So I'm feeling incapable of my kitchen. Double your kitchen size. Right? Can you suddenly double your kitchen size? No, cannot. Right? What about study room? Study room is a room only lah, John. Study room is just a room. Make no difference. Study room also is basically desire. So what is study room for? Study ma. Right? Study ma. Make yourself smarter. It's just basically still desire. It's still under the desire umbrella. Right? So desire means, only thinking, still no action. That part is called desire. Right? So your kitchen is basically your action center. Right? So so you don't want to feel incapable, then make sure that your kitchen, right? So if your kitchen is bigger, then your room is smaller. See, whatever you desire, you have the capacity to get it done, you see. Then you don't feel incapable. Right? You do not feel incapable. Right, so if like this one, if you take a look at it, then you know that the bedroom is bigger than the kitchen. right? The bedroom is bigger than the kitchen, you know. So now you can see very clearly that the living room is the biggest, right? So second biggest is the bedroom, then the third biggest is the kitchen. Very simple, right? Can the dining room count as a kitchen? The dining table doesn't really bring any significant, you know. If you want, like this one, the dining is very clearly is in the living room, it's not in the kitchen. Right. So again, right, please don't go to the, you know, delineation of, you know, whether this classified as that, you know. When you talk about kitchen, usually you walk inside, you know, it's a kitchen. You know, whether there's a dining table, doesn't have a dining table, it doesn't change the kitchen. Right, so we need to analyze place that the energy kitchen always based on the location of the stove. Yes, the kitchen is always decided defined by the stove. Okay, right. So for instance, if the 5 yellow comes only in the direction sector of the stove, the 5 yellow don't come from a direction sector of the stove. It's the stove sector, not the rest of the kitchen. Actually, the rest of the kitchen also not very useful. It's the stove. Stove is the central analysis point, right? So for kitchen, stove is the central analysis point. For the bedroom, is the bed, right? Or you want to call work table, so it's the same, right? So, you know, yeah. And also for the living room is the door. Okay, that's how it is. You know, the rest of the TV cabinet, sofa, all of them not important. Okay, all of them are not important stuff, right? So those are places that you station yourself in, you know. So if the entire place is empty, you sit there on the tatami, also can. What to do to increase my capability? Again, for this particular session, if you can adjust the size of your kitchen, right? So you want a smaller the kitchen, very easy, partition. That is the fastest way to do so. Partition the kitchen would make the kitchen smaller, but I don't think there's any way to, you know, unless you want to break some wall, readjust this, right? If the kitchen is joined with the living room, so again, you get a confusing situation. Yeah, you can do partition, right? You can basically partition off and say that, you know, this is, you know, even do the sliding door thingy, can be done one, right? If you want to partition off the two energy, basically it can be done. Yes, it does help with reducing the thing, right? So now you understand, if your room is bigger than your kitchen, then the feeling is basically feeling incapable. Because why? You just got too many desire, not enough capacity to get things done. So the feeling is being incapable. Right, so then you have your room which is bigger than your living room, then it's unfulfilled. The feeling is unfulfilled. So you got a lot of desire but not enough opportunity. Make sense, huh? Right? You got a lot of desire, you got a lot of things, but things are just not coming, right? The opportunity is basically not there, right? So you have the feeling of, you know, being unfulfilled, right? So this one is, you know, the idea is that, you know, your kitchen is bigger than your room. So the idea is kitchen is bigger than room, but room is bigger than your living room, right? So then you have the ultimate feeling of being unfulfilled, right? So it's different from incapable. Incapable is I give you to do, you cannot do. This one you want to do, also don't have, right? So the feeling is unfulfilled, right? Got difference, One is I give you do, but you cannot get it done, right? I give you a McLaren F1, you don't know how to drive it. This one is the car also doesn't exist. The car doesn't exist. So it's the feeling of, you know, being unfulfilled. So now again, is it terrible? Not terrible? No, nothing, right? So no. So can you see, can you see ultimately in life, if you reduce your desire, you will actually ultimately be happy on. Yes. But have you seen the definition of financial freedom? Income minus desire. Financial freedom is income minus desire. Okay, yeah, you know, if you want to be financial free, right, you just have income. You don't even need to do anything with the income. Just cut your desire down. You will be financially free. The only reason why you're financially not free is because you got too much desire. Right? So now then you rebrand your desire to responsibility, you know. Okay, make yourself, you know, feel 6 square meter versus 9 square meter. Is it too incapable? Don't know. You have to go and take a look. So again, it is not an absolute size thingy that we are trying to, you know, it's like, you know, 30 square feet versus 40 square feet, this sort of stuff. It doesn't. You just have that particular situation, you know, whereby you just have too many things that you want, but the external opportunity is not there. Right, so like, you know, for example, you know, if you're born in US versus right now, you know, born in Gaza, both fella, also have the same amount of desire, right? So you know that the guy born in Gaza is not going to get a lot of things done, right? The born in US going to get a lot of things done, right? Right? You can have the same amount of desire, but because opportunity is different. Okay? Right? So this is, where you got situation whereby your room is bigger than your living room. Right? So now this one is a situation, whereby the room is bigger than the living room. Right? So a huge room. I've seen houses whereby the room is huge. Not good, I just tell you first. Right? It is actually not good to have a room that's too big. Right? So some people has their room, Now this one, including your walk-in wardrobe, all those kind of things, which is, your room space. Right? Too big. Right? So like this one, if you take a look at it, kitchen is very small. Kitchen is very small. Right? So this one fella will feel what we call incapable, right? So incapable first, because kitchen is really small, then also at the same time also feel unfulfilled and incapable. Okay, so that's why you need to control. But again, can this be changed? Frankly speaking, it's going to be a bit difficult, right? It's going to be a bit difficult. So again, can you partition off the place and make the room smaller? So you can do that, right? So you can partition off the place, but then it doesn't look practical anymore. If your kitchen is in the south, right, will the capability be magnified? No, John. Right, so this one has nothing to do with whatever the energy signature is at the place. Energy signature in the place is basically magnifying the type of it. Like for example, if your kitchen is star number 1, then that kitchen actually help in connecting people. Your capability in connecting with people will probably be better. That's all only, right? It has nothing to do with the size of, right? So Woodland here, right? If the living room, if we have a privacy divider in front of the main door, is it? No, the privacy divider doesn't really do it unless you entire wall, then put a door. Entire wall up the entire place and put a door. Right? So if you're just a divider, actually doesn't do anything. Okay, the divider does not do that. The divider is just to slow down the qi and redirect the qi. It doesn't contain the qi. So you want to contain the qi, it needs to be a self-contained space. So which means that you need to build the wall and then do a door. That's the only way to do it. So that's why I say that it is extremely difficult to fix. So this is only useful if you are constructing your own house, which means that you can decide what's the size, or you are selecting a house and you are making a decision between these two, and then you take a look at it and then you feel like, I want to have huge amount of desire. Okay, then go and choose the one where the room is bigger. And that's all only, choose the room is bigger. Like this one, very easy to solve the problem. Go to the smaller room and sleep. Yeah, done. Right? The big room, don't sleep in the big room, go to the smaller room to dream. So whoever sleep in the big room will have a lot of desire. But you sleep in the normal smaller room, then your desire will shrink. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, understand? Right? So then you have a scenario whereby your kitchen is bigger than your living room. So which means that you got more capacity than the opportunity can. You feel unappreciated. That's it. Again, there's nothing wrong, right? So unappreciated means that I can do a lot of things here, but no one see my greatness. When people don't give you opportunity, you feel like people don't see your greatness. I can do this one, but why the fella don't let me do? No opportunity law is called, right? People don't acknowledge you, right? So you feel unappreciated. This is where your kitchen is too big, right? So I've seen house whereby the kitchen is half the house. Half the house is the kitchen. Right? A living room tiny only. This sort of fella, have absolutely good capacity, but always not appreciated. Always not appreciated. And my kitchen is also in the south. Don't even think of cooking in there, right? So my 2-bedroom become a loft. Cooking with portable. So by the way, if your kitchen is in the house south, just be careful of next year. Next year 5 yellow is there. Next year is 5 yellow south. Grand Duke horse. So the ability of the 5 yellow is pushed to the max next year. Fire Palisamo. Fire grow 5 yellow. horse grand dude further enhance the 5 yellow energy. So next year 5 yellow is damn nasty. Just be careful. Right, so the feeling is feeling unappreciated lah, right? So if your kitchen, there's over huge kitchen, right? So this is kitchen which is huge, right? Big kitchen, huge kitchen, right? So the bedroom normal, right? So the living room is still bigger than the bedroom, but the kitchen is the biggest fella there, right? So now like this particular fella, desire is not really that great. Opportunity, okay, the amount of opportunity that came in, right? So but the fella is always feeling that I can do more. I can do more, but why people don't give me do more, right? So again, is it wrong, right? So what can you do if the main door is in the south? What can you do if the main door is in the south? Use another door if you have. That would be the quick fix, right? If not, as usual, I'll put metal, right? So at this current moment, that's the only. But so make sure that your door don't slam first. So I would install those door closer first. That would be the first project this year. Door closer, those door dampening closer that you have in the office one, the one that make sure that you soft close one, like that one. Make sure don't slam door first. Once you slam your door, shoot, shit. That's it. 5 yellow activated. Good for you. Right, but by the way, if there's no ground breaking in the south, you're actually safe one. The door actually can be used one. No problem one. Right? It's just banging, knocking, all those kind of things. If the 5 yellow is activated, nasty. Right? If it's not activated, then no problem. Right? Okay, can so pretty easy. I think no more already. Yes, no more. The end of slideshow. Already no more already. Right? So if this one is under your control, right? So if this is under your control, then make sure that the living room the space is the biggest, followed by kitchen, followed by bedroom. Then you will have very smooth life, whereby your opportunity, you have enough capability to deal with all your opportunity. Excess opportunity is fine one. Then whatever that you are done capability is basically is able to fulfill your desire. So when you have that particular setup, you are a very fulfilling person. All your desire is basically fulfilled. Right, so which means that if you want to increase your desire, you have to increase your kitchen, you have to increase your living room at the same time. All three same size can or not can? All three same size can. Right, it's just that you have one which is bigger than the other. I'm going to tell my family that our living room is small. I'm going to make a second living room taking my daughters. Right, so can right? So if let's say that you want to make the living room bigger by demolishing one of the room, it's actually doable. Well, what do you mean by what about 2 bedroom? Nothing to do with 2 bedroom. It just have to do with whoever is staying in the room. So you got 2 person, one stay in the big room, one stay in the small room. The small fella will have smaller desire, the big room fella will have bigger desire. That's all only. That is all only. Okay, right? So that's the only difference only. So if you got 3 room, you just choose the room where the size is. So again, for a person to be successful, right, you just have to control your desire only, right? Actually, that's all. Right? You just don't have too big of a desire. Right? If your desire not too big, very easy to fulfill, very easy. Done. Right? Life is very happy. Okay, right? So these are another one technique, right? So this one has to do with space utilization. So this one got nothing to do with the formula school. This is from the form school. Right? So this is from the form school, this is how you basically get it done. Right? So again, just tell you all, not many people will do this sort of analysis. So even me also, if I go and take a look at the house, right, I usually don't, unless the fella already tell me got this problem, then you want to solve this problem, then I tell you just move to a smaller room and then settle. Right? Or the living room need to be redesigned. Unless the fella tell me that I'm going to redesign this space already, then I'm going to tell them this sort of stuff. If not, usually no. Shoebox house, usually main door followed by kitchen and living room. Does it matter? It matter. It matter. Picture called everything matter. Right. So that's why you can see that nowadays a lot of people is basically for a lack of good term is pretty screwed in their life. It's because their house is pretty screwed. right? Still okay lah. You know, if you're talking about, you know, you open up your kitchen, it's basically your living room, right? So still pretty much all right lah. I don't think it's problem. I don't think it's much problematic. So again, it makes the entire qi a bit confusing. That's all, right? So you know, if you got chance, you know, just do something which is very normal and proper. Kitchen is kitchen, living room is living room, bedroom is bedroom. Right? It shouldn't be that hard, ma. Correct? Right? Most of the time should not be that hard. All right, so this is, you know, my sharing for today for all of you, right? So just keep it inside your mind. It's not really too groundbreaking important, as in, you know, there's really nothing much you can do. That's the sad part. Okay, right? So, you know, that's it, guys. See you all. Bye.